Everything you need to know about the second assassination attempt on Trump's life within the past 2 months, you will find out within this video. And I just want to give you guys a fair warning. This will get very ugly. And I know a lot of people are going to get offended, but this is just the truth. This is the reality. So just to start off, for those of you guys that don't know anything about it whatsoever, as it claims here, quote, on the fifth hole, 4 total shots fired from an AK-47 at the West Palm Beach golf course where Trump was putting on the fifth hole. This hole is close to the street. The gunman has reportedly been apprehended. How did this shooter know Trump would be there today? We need answers. So as you guys can see, corrupt daddy government, leaked Donald J. Trump's location. And the only people who knew where Trump would be was Secret Service. And what makes it more interesting is the fact that Secret Service is under the control of the Biden administration. So whoever gets assigned to protect Donald J. Trump is assigned by the Biden administration again. So the people who controlled this event, I guess you could say, would be Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, because they were the only individuals who had the authority to send intel to protect Trump. And because of that is the reason why it alludes to some kind of unfair internal play from the inside, like it was an inside job, almost like September 11 a few years ago, right? So it's very, very interesting because no one apparently knew his location. It wasn't public. It was all private. And again, only his security intel knew where he was going. That's what makes it very, very sketchy. And this is where the fifth hole was, accordingly, on a closed street. So that's what makes it very sketchy.
Short is President Trump, they were on the fifth hole. They were about to go up to putt. And the way Steve Witkoff, now, just as a little bit of background, Arthel, I happened to go to breakfast with Steve Witkoff and another friend of mine this morning, and I was invited to play golf. They have.
And you know what I find very interesting about this whole situation? How the heck has CNN posted on it like within like 30 minutes of it occurring? How did CNN already have like the upper hand on what's going on? I mean, unless they were contacted prior to it happening, unless they already knew it was happening. Because it seems like almost like CNN was a part of it, or they knew people who were a part of it and just chose not to say or do anything about it. That's crazy, guys, to me. That's honestly very wild. But I want to go into how this is a deeper issue. And I'm going to tell you guys not only who the shooter is, but I'm going to show you who sent the shooter, how he's being funded, and the real people behind this issue. And it's not who you might think it is. I'm not going to mention Kamala or Joe Biden, even though I think they respectfully have their own part in it. I think it's a lot deeper than that. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So let's go ahead and get into it. And I'm going to show my evidence as to why this deals with Russia, Ukraine, BlackRock, and Chase.
They sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion. They sent her to negotiate peace before
guys. So basically what he's saying is that with the whole Ukraine-Russia war, it would have never happened if he was president. And I completely agree. But it's much deeper than what we see on the surface level. It's not just because she's a bad negotiator. And there's certain things he obviously can't say on the media, right? Because not only will his words be twisted around, but he also has to be very cautious of how he presents things. Because then, I mean, it's just like, it's common sense why you have to be careful on how you present things, because we have satanic elitists who will do things to you if you say things a little too direct. So basically, the reason why the war started when the Biden administration started, guys, is because of the fact in 2020, whenever the Biden administration started, they were already corrupt. And so whenever you look at the whole Ukraine situation, they're kind of just using that as an excuse so that they can join NATO and we can take out the only superpower that exists in the world outside of America, which is Russia. And so that's the reason why America is trying to go to war with Russia, because they're corrupt. And I'm not saying that Russia, they're perfect and sinless. No one's saying that. So please don't take my words out of context. But what I am saying, though, is the fact that America also isn't sinless or blameless either. And so because we know this, we do know that, America is corrupt. It's just the reality. Under the Biden administration, it has been very corrupt. And he basically, they're using Ukraine as a way to laundry money. So BlackRock, Chase, and all these other big corporations, they're kind of just using it to have an endless war. They don't care if Ukraine wins. They don't care if Russia wins. They just want the war to last forever, because it's really a satanic sacrifice, because the more people die in war, the more Satan is pleased. Demons get hungry too. And so it's a satanic sacrifice for Satan. And what they gain as human beings is that they gain worldly riches. And that's what they want. They want worldly riches, because if more people die, they make more money, because Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon, all these big, military contract companies that work together, they must make money if Ukraine goes to war with Russia. And I'll explain how. So basically, if Ukraine goes to war with Russia, right, Ukraine has to join NATO for protection. And if they join NATO, they're forced to use specific military contract companies in order to go ahead and fight Russia. And so they were forced to use Raytheon, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, all the American companies. And so that money that's going to Ukraine is actually going right back into America. And so it's like this fake funneling of money to make it appear as if we're giving money to Ukraine, but we're actually just giving them a loan. And the money that's going to Ukraine, they're actually giving it right back to us, and they're giving it to BlackRock and Chase, making them even richer. So when you look at it in reality, guys, right now we're in a dynamic where actually the dilemma is that BlackRock, Larry Fink, and Chase, James Dion, they actually own Ukraine. These two dudes own a whole country to themselves. And that's what's going on. This is how satanic it is. And that's why I say, guys, it's not how you guys see things on the surface level. Things go a lot deeper than what it appears on the surface. And this is why I say, when I talk about politics, it's not just about politics, guys. These things are a lot deeper than what they appear on the surface level, because everything that happens and manifests in the political sphere or anything like that first manifests in the spiritual realm. Very, very spiritual, guys, because remember, the word of God in the book of Ephesians warns us, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against evil principalities in dark and high places. So always remember that, guys. But let's go ahead and continue. Donald Trump just posted this on Truth. Kamala Harris is a bigger threat than Putin. Now I'm going to explain to you guys why this is important. Donald J. Trump, Russia has today threatened to use nuclear wars, and we have low IQ individuals, the same that messed up Afghanistan, who don't have a clue, in charge of this deadly situation. No good, not acceptable, MAGA 2024. So basically what he's saying, guys, is that, we have certain people within the government that have low IQ, and that's true. You have people in the government that are just like these big daddy government bots. They're not necessarily intentionally corrupt, but they're just like kind of morons who listen to their leadership. And then you have people that are intentionally corrupt, which is the majority of daddy government. However, whenever we look at this situation, Russia has threatened to use nuclear weapons as a result of the corruptness of the United States of America. Now, here's the issue, guys. Right now, we can see is that there's a big possibility of us going to war with Russia in the United States of America. The reason why this is such a big issue is because the shooter who was trying to take Donald J. Trump's life just so happens to be Ukrainian. Now, the reason why this is interesting is because Ukraine benefits if we work with them. Right? So the reason why they're probably trying to take Trump's life away is because Trump doesn't want to work with Ukraine against Russia. So it makes it very interesting as to why this assassination attempt happened right after Donald J. Trump not only said he didn't want to work with Ukraine, but after Russia is threatening to go to war with America. So this all seems like it was intentionally planned by a mixture of different organizations. But let's go ahead and get into it. So you guys can't say that I'm just making this up. This is Donald J. Trump admitting that he pretty much doesn't like Ukraine.
And we have a corrupt, compromised president, crooked Joe Biden, who is dragging us into World War III. And that's what's happening on behalf of a nation that paid his family millions and millions of dollars in obvious bribes. All you have to do is take a look at how much China, how much Ukraine have paid the Biden family. It's a total disgrace and a very dangerous one. Under these circumstances, the notion that we would even consider admitting Ukraine into NATO at this time is completely unhinged. Joe Biden can't even walk up a flight of stairs on Air Force One, and he can't put two sentences together. The last thing that this incompetent administration should be doing is risking war with a nuclear-armed Russia or China or other countries. We have somebody that doesn't have a clue representing us. And we have a corrupt...
And that's exactly the case, guys, because when you guys look at it, I don't care how strong you think America is. Guys, let's just be real. If we're going against Russia and China, we are probably screwed. Let's just be real. I admit, America has the best country in terms of military. We have the best military in the world. And I'm not just saying that because I'm American. We literally spend the most money in our military. We have the willpower that other countries don't have. We have strategy and intelligence and all that crazy stuff, and that's great. But let's be real. If we're going against China and Russia and North Korea and Africa and these countries, let's be real, we're probably going to lose, right? So that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. We have to have wisdom in these situations. And it's made very clear that Donald J. Trump does not want to support Ukraine. And I think that's a huge reason for his second assassination attempt. And that's just the reality, right? But it gets worse, guys, because he also does mention more specifically he doesn't want to send money to Ukraine. And anyone who says otherwise is lying, and it just wants to cause problems. So let's get into it.
Let me just put it a nicer way. If I'm president, I will have that war settled in 1 day, 24 hours.
How would you settle that war in 1 day?
Because I'll meet with Putin, I'll meet with Zelensky. They both have weaknesses and they both have strengths. And within 24 hours, that war will be settled. It'll be over. It'll be absolutely over.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down this country. Now,
you said you don't think in terms of winning and losing? Mr. President, can I just follow up on that because that's a really important statement that you just made there.
Notice how she tries to cut him off and how she tries to entrap him into appearing as this guy who hates Ukraine and loves Russian communists that are very bad people. You know what I mean? So it's just very funny because when you look at the agendas that the media is trying to push, it's like they try to frame God like this dude, Donald J. Trump, as this bad guy. And not only that, but they try to pose him as this guy that just like, you know, that kind of goes against our morality compass as Americans. And they kind of show us the narrative as to what we're supposed to believe in. And if we don't fit within that narrative, then we're bad, immoral Americans that should be shunned. That's kind of like her goal with these questions and framing it the way she does.
Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying. And I'll have that done. I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done. You need the power of the presidency to do it.
But you won't say that you want Ukraine to win. You know
what I'll say? I'll say this. I want Europe to put up more money because they're in for 20 billion. We're in for 170, and they should be, and they should equalize.
That's very true, guys. That's unfortunately what's happening, guys. And so the reality of the matter is the fact that the war with Ukraine is very, very corrupt, guys. There's no actual reasoning for the war. The reason for the war is just corruption. That's literally all it is. But, you know, Putin actually goes into this. He actually explains the reason why we are fighting, you know, alongside Ukraine against Russia. He explains the true matter behind it. It's not because Donald J. Trump may be corrupt himself, but it's unfortunately the fact that our government is corrupt. And he'll go ahead and explain it. I know we don't understand Russian, but let's go ahead and read these subtitles. And then I'll go ahead and give my opinions below afterwards. But this is going to be very interesting.
Понимаете, я уже общался и с одним президентом США, и с другим, и с третьим. Президенты приходят и уходят, а политика не меняется. Знаете почему? Потому что очень сильна власть бюрократии. Вот человека избрали, он приходит с одними идеями, к нему приходят люди с кейсами, хорошо одетые и в темных, как у меня, костюмах, но только не с красным галстуком, а с черным или с темно-синим. И начинают объяснять, как нужно делать. И все сразу меняется, понимаете? Это происходит от одной администрации к другой. Вот что-то изменить, это достаточно сложное дело. Это, я говорю без всякой иронии. Это не потому, что кому-то не хочется, а потому, что это сложно. Вот Обама, он же, продвинутый человек, очень человек либеральных взглядов. правда? Демократ. Он же перед выборами своими обещал закрыть Гуантанамо. Сделал? Нет. А почему? Он что, не хотел? Очень хотел. Я уверен, что хотел. Но не получилось. Он искренне к этому стремился. Не получается. Не так все просто. Но это не самый главный вопрос, хотя это важно. Это трудно себе представить. Да? Люди в кандалах ходят там уже десятилетиями, без суда и следствия. Ну, представьте себе, Франция бы так сделала, или Россия. С потрохами бы сожрали уже давно. Нет, в Соединенных Штатах это возможно, и до сих пор продолжается. Вот, кстати, к вопросу о демократии. Но я сейчас не для этого пример этот привел. Я привел, потому что не все так просто. Но все-таки у меня есть определенная доля сдержанного оптимизма. Мне кажется, что мы по ключевым вопросам можем и должны договариваться.
And that's the reality, guys. Unfortunately, there's men in dark suits, almost like Men in Black, right? Or other organizations that are a lot worse than the CIA and FBI that are secret and not known to the general public. These alphabet agencies are very corrupt and they control the presidency, basically. Very, very sad, very corrupt what goes on, guys. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. So whenever you guys see what's going on with Donald J. Trump, very, very crazy stuff happens behind closed doors. So although he's not corrupt, the government agencies around him are very corrupt. And that's why he wanted to abolish them. Because if the government agencies are abolished, then they can no longer do the things that they do and get away with today. We honestly would have so much peace in the world if Russia and US were friends. Because we're honestly like the two strongest countries in the world. I know it's very offensive and it's very controversial to say that, but I'm just keeping it real, guys. We're like the two superpowers in the world. China doesn't compete with Russia. China doesn't compete with US. But if China teams with US or China teams with Russia, the other superpowers knocked out of the park. It's that simple, guys. So because China is already not an ally with us, we can't count on that. So our only ally is Russia. And if we're both superpowers, guys, you guys realize that US and Russia can own the world all day a million times over because we're superpowers. So you guys don't realize we have a lot of land, we have a lot of money spent on our military, we have nuclear weapons, we're very strategic, we have good intelligence. Not only that, but we also have people that are dependent on us. For example, we have sanctions on multiple countries such as Cuba. Cuba is dependent on America. If we lift those sanctions off of Cuba, Cuba could be a very rich, prosperous country today, but it's because we have sanctions on their country and because other people fear America and they're scared to go against America is the reason why Cuba is still poor today. So I use that as an example so you guys can understand how much of a superpower we as America are. We're a very huge superpower. And that's the reason why it works, because people fear America for so long. And it's kind of the same thing with Russia. And that's the whole battle of us going against Russia because, you know, the corrupt individuals in America only want there to be one superpower. They can't fathom the fact that there's actually two superpowers because instead of seeing it as we can be allies, they want to be enemies. And that's the unfortunate reality of what we see going on today. However, I do want to bring up Klaus Schwab because he's also another key factor that's very, very important in this because he actually mentions how everything is corrupt and he mentions why it is. So please go ahead and listen to him, guys, because this guy is an unelected bureaucrat who makes billions and trillions of dollars and meets with all the world leaders. I'm talking about Zelensky, Trump, Obama, Putin. He meets with everyone, whether they like him or not, and he pretty much tells the whole world what to do. And this is the man behind everything, pulling all the strings. So let's go ahead and get into it.
This notion to integrate young leaders is part of the World Economic Forum since many years. When I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And that's true in Argentina too. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's true in Argentina as well.
It's true in Argentina, and it's true in France now. I'm here with the president, with a young global leader, but...
Question et commentaire, questions and comments. The honourable member for Oshawa.
So as you guys can see, that's the guy in charge of the Davos forums, and this is where rich celebrities go as well. Like I'm talking about multi-billionaires. You have Jeff Bezos, Leonardo DiCaprio, and the list just goes on. And Elon Musk. You have all types of rich politicians, globalist elitists, and satanic elitists around the globe or around the world who decide to go ahead and meet up with him, guys. And it's just crazy. It's wild. It's wild because they're all globalists. But yeah, that he's pretty much just saying strictly out of his mouth, we are very proud of now that we penetrated the cabinets. More than half of the Canadian cabinet ministers are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. So it's basically these, and so just so you guys are aware, they pretty much choose the smartest of the smartest people around the world. So the only people who can get actually hired into the World Economic Forum are people from the Yales and the Harvards around the world. And so people get elected from these universities, and not everybody. They hand select individuals from those universities. They invite them to join the World Economic Forum, and then from there, they penetrate them into the governments of the world with their own agendas, and they pay them money, and they laundry a lot of money illegally to them. Very, very sad, but that's what's going on in this world today, guys. And that's what makes money, guys. Politicians illegally make money. So, as it continues to state, the World Economic Forum's Klaus Schwab is a globalist terrorist who is holding humanity to ransom. President Vladimir Putin. Very, very interesting, guys. How he's painted as this really bad guy. And I'm not saying that Putin is perfect. I'm sure he's done very bad things. But the fact that Putin is literally saying that this globalist terrorist who is holding humanity to ransom when referring to Klaus Schwab is very wild. Because Klaus Schwab just said that he's infiltrating all the cabinets, guys. That is crazy. Putin warns globalist terrorist Klaus Schwab his days are numbered. That means he's very highly against Klaus Schwab, guys. That's crazy to think about. And Donald J. Trump doesn't seem like he agrees with Klaus Schwab either. I think that's the reason why Putin and Donald J. Trump got along with each other, guys. It's a lot deeper than what we see on the surface level. And then here, guys, we see right here, globalist puppet actor Zelensky meets with the new owners of Ukraine at BlackRock and JP Morgan. So as you guys can see in this video, I don't know if you guys see it, but if you slow down, this is the James Dion dude, and then you have Larry Fink, who basically go ahead and meet with Zelensky, and basically he doesn't look happy. He doesn't look happy in reality because it's just a loan. So basically what's happening is all the hundreds of billions of dollars you guys have been seeing Joe Biden give to Ukraine, it's not as simple as him giving money to Zelensky. This is how it happens. Again, for clarification, he's giving money to Ukraine as a loan that Ukraine has to pay back. Joe Biden knows that Ukraine will never be able to pay it back, but that loan specifically is for Zelensky to spend it on American companies. American government contractors. And then so it's basically like this circulating effect. I pretend I'm Joe Biden. Zelensky, I'll give you $200 billion. You have to spend it on American companies so that it can come back to my American government. I look like I'm giving you money, but I'm actually giving myself money in the form of you and in the form of a loan. So I know you'll never be able to pay it back, but that just means in reality, we own your country, we own you, and you got to listen to what we do. So we're going to use you to our advantage so that we can go against Russia, the only superpower in the world, because we know that if we have you in our pockets, guess what? We can probably take out Russia. That's what's going on, guys. It's a power play. That's what it is. It's power politics. Very, very satanic what's going on. It's very, very, very sad. But there's also this interesting video where RFK Jr. kind of exposes it all so that you guys can see I'm not making this up. And it's sad that I even have to use references because some people are just like so slow nowadays. But yes, I have to use references for everything. We have Donald Trump. We have RFK Jr. We have different news media sources. I mean, we have all types of people relaying the information I'm giving you to guys so that we can fact check everything. So let's go ahead and get into it.
When we bring a new nation into NATO, then the first part of that contract is that that new nation has to conform its weapons purchases to NATO specifications, which means they have to buy their weapons from Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and Boeing.
That's clever.
And all of those companies are owned by BlackRock. And BlackRock is, the big
So
donors.
they're incentivized to expand NATO because the only way that they can increase their profits if they get more countries that have signed up.
Well, it's a whole market that they now have a trap market that they can only buy from them.
It's like Starbucks selling Frappuccinos. It's like you want Starbucks everywhere. And oh my God.
Every coffee shop should be a Starbucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
how do we break into a new market?
There's also, it's a confluence of ideological and economic incentives. If you look at what's happening on Wall Street, they're no longer going factory by factory and saying what's the production, what's the efficiency, what's the lowest cost, what's the future. They're all focusing on what is the Fed going to do this week.
And that's exactly what's happening. They predict everything. They create everything. I'm not sure if you guys heard about it, but there was actually recently a Chinese lady. She actually was working with the Chinese government, and she was caught embezzling money to China. And so that's how they knew she was a double agent pretending to work with the FBI or CIA here in America. But basically what she did is that she was telling China what stocks to invest into so that they can make money. First of all, how the heck does she know what stocks are going to make money unless daddy government that she's working with knows them? That's because our government's corrupt. They predict everything. Simple. It's common sense, guys. I mean, people are so slow. I don't get how you don't see it. The information's right in front of us. But then it says Ukraine closer to long-range strike permission as Biden Starmer meeting. So basically, if you guys aren't aware, basically Biden is having a meeting, and the unfortunate reality with the U.S. and U.K. is they're kind of having a meeting to go against Russia. And Russia is saying that if they strike nuclear weapons towards Russia, they're going to have to attack, which absolutely makes sense. It's fair. If any country attacks America, it's absolutely fair for us to go to war back with them, right? I get why you would want to defend your country. I don't think that's a weird communist thing to do, or is it? But let's go ahead and continue, guys. We actually see this person posted. I think there's some kind of hacker or like white hacker or software engineer. I don't know too much about coding. But they said that Ryan Wesley Roth appears to have an extensive criminal record out of North Carolina, but somehow all of it has already been scrubbed. Yes, we copied it over to a notepad to protect our methods. So basically, look at this. The guy who went ahead and did the assassination attempt on Donald J. Trump literally has a long, extensive criminal record, guys. Wow. Oh, that's crazy, guys. And it's said also that he had weapons of mass destruction at one point, and he just got probation. He didn't get anything else. He just got probation. And if you guys don't know what a weapon of mass destruction is, it's basically a weapon that's like a nuclear missile, a grenade, maybe at least a grenade or missile launcher. It's something very severe. It's not just a regular AK-47 or pistol. This guy had a weapon of mass destruction, guys, and he just got probation. That's wild to me. That's very, very, really wild. And then more information is coming out about this guy. And basically we're seeing, guys, that this dude is a lot worse than we thought. Because it says new footage of Trump shooter Ryan Ruth discussing plan to occupy Kyiv at Poland, Ukraine border train station. Let's see.
All right, so we're here with a gentleman I met from Hawaii. Yes, sir. Ryan. His name's Ryan. Yeah. And you got here, what, 2 days ago? This morning. You got here this morning. Yeah. And you want to tell the people that are watching this why you came from Poland.
Yeah, I came to represent the USA. So, I'm somewhat disappointed in the international civilian response to this crisis. I had anticipated that thousands of civilians from every country around the world would have flocked here to support the Ukrainians as civilians, to stand arm in arm with them. But it seems like a handful of people are showing up. So, I'm disappointed.
So we're on the border of Poland, Ukraine, but we're in Poland right now. So you're actually going to go into Ukraine?
Yeah, I'm going this afternoon, yeah. I'm going into Ukraine, yep, in a harm's way.
And so your purpose is?
Well, I'll try to sign up for our Legion, but I think more importantly, if I can simply go to the center of Kyiv and set up my tent to occupy Ukraine and other civilians to come and stand with me in the center of Kyiv with our flags and our tents and stay there for as long as it takes to get the Russians out of Ukraine, so we can stand with our brothers in Ukraine to show the international that's the response. We need thousands of people from every country around the world to come to Kyiv and stand with us, with our flags, to show Putin that everybody is against this, and that we're going to stay as long as it takes to get every Russian out of Ukraine.
So basically, this dude is a huge Ukrainian loyalist who wanted to go ahead and attack Trump. And now with all the information I told you guys, it makes sense why he was sent by Ukraine, allegedly, right? I have to say allegedly to protect myself. But I think we all know the truth behind it. And then it gets worse because then there's this video footage of him as well that surfaced.
Ukraine is reluctant to be cooperative.
That's Ryan Ruth, a U.S. citizen who set up the International Volunteer Center in Ukraine to help connect foreigners to Ukrainian military units.
Now I'm talking to over 100 soldiers every day, and pretty much everybody, all of my contacts in Ukraine, they were adamant, pretty much yelled at me every time that I suggested that we bring in Afghans.
The Ukrainian government didn't respond to our request for comment.
That's crazy, guys.
To be cooperative.
That's really crazy, but that's the reality of the world we live in. And the reason why I bring this video up specifically is because this quote, it says, in 2002, Trump assassin Ryan Wesley Ruth was arrested for possessing a weapon of mass destruction, yet his punishment was shockingly light, probation. But it gets much worse because it states the Department of Homeland Security defines a weapon of mass destruction as nuclear, radiological, chemical, or biological design to inflict mass harm. There's no doubt he was working for intelligence agencies. Just this whole notion that of course the media is trying to spin is that he was a Trump supporter, and not only was he a Trump supporter, but he was working alone and he was just some crazy lunatic. It's just nonsense, guys. That's not the reality. The reality is he was working with different organizations such as Ukraine and BlackRock, and that's the real reality of why he decided to go ahead and try to assassinate Trump. So more evidence that he's working with Ukraine. I mean, look at his LinkedIn, bro. There's more Ukrainian flags everywhere. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And then to make it worse, he's from Hawaii. Like, I'm nothing against Hawaiians. I love you guys, but like, let's be real. Most Hawaiians are unfortunately liberals, it seems like. So, I mean, it's very sad, but this is him, guys. I just peeked at his account, and he is a Bernie Democrat and quite a fan of Ukraine. Here is his LinkedIn account. You'll notice his banners, a bunch of Ukraine flags, heavily brainwashed them as expected. And that's the truth. That's the reality. But it gets worse, guys, because before I get into that, I want to go ahead and show you guys this video right here that's very popular everywhere. I see everyone's talking about. It's basically just like a quick little interview of him speaking.
I live in Hawaii now, so flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here.
So I don't need to bore you guys with that video because I'm sure you guys have probably seen it. But basically, he talks about how he's trying to recruit mercenaries to fight in Ukraine, which we kind of already all know by this point. But the fact that he's trying to recruit mercenaries from America and Afghanistan to fight with Ukraine is very, very odd. Very, very strange to say the least. But yeah, guys, I mean, and also like they deleted his Facebook page, his Twitter account, everything. And so we do actually have some people that recorded it, and we can actually see that he actually has official Ukrainian documents that he signed. But to make it worse, because this not only shows that he's working with the Ukrainian government, there's actually posts of him saying that if you want to work with me, if you're from Afghanistan, you have to speak fluent English. And there's actually people that are messaging him. He says that he gets hundreds of messages a day. He gets so many messages a day, in fact, that he can't reply to them. That's crazy, guys. That's actually wild. So this shows that this was some kind of group collective effort. It wasn't just him, guys. There was definitely people involved. There were other people involved that are not being shown to the mix. Guys, very, very, very crazy. And more evidence that he was trying to recruit people to work with him is this right here. Trump's attempted assassin, Ryan Ruth, was in YouTuber Jay Dion's video in the past, confirmed by Jay Dion. We are 90% sure Jay Dion, you remember him? Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, that's him. Okay, we are going with it. Yup, it's him, confirmed.
The Ukrainians have a right to fight back.
I don't do paper, though.
I don't care if you do paper or not. I'm looking for revolutionaries. Whatever people want to take this whole system down.
Bro, I'm a veteran. Like, do you need me?
What kind of veteran are you?
Bro, I served in Nuketown.
Well, I think it's better to serve and fight in the powers. Fucking over the system.
Bro, give me a Glock and a Hellcat.
Take a look at this.
Bro, but I don't do paper, though. I just told you that.
Come on, dude, then get away. We don't need people who aren't serious. If you're not serious,
I'm serious, but I don't do paper, bro. You're literally killing the environment.
We're moving on. You go ahead, have your lunch.
No, bro, I'm going to class.
Go to
I'm a scholar.
Go to class.
And so that is the unfortunate reality. So if you guys don't know, Jay Dion is now a born-again Christian, I believe. And he also It's very funny because he actually used to do like these pranks a lot. Very, very funny. I used to watch his pranks too. Very funny guy. But it's just so funny. Like he coincidentally ran into the guy who was trying to assassinate Donald J. Trump, which I find very hilarious, but also weird at the same time. You know what I mean? But anyways, as we continue to see, guys, there's more breaking news because Ryan Wesley Ross soon says his father hates Donald Trump like all reasonable people, quote unquote. And that's just not true. We're not reasonable for hating Donald J. Trump for no reason. But anyways, Oran Rue tells the Daily Mail his father is not a violent person and didn't believe he owned a firearm. This was the first I heard about it, he told the Daily Mail. Oren said his father hates Trump as every reasonable person does, adding, I don't like Trump either. He's my dad and all he's had is a couple traffic tickets as far as I know him. My dad and love my dad, but that's nothing like him. He said he was at the beach, but I thought that meant the Outer Banks in Hawaii. He's not a violent person. He's a hard worker and great dad. He's a great dude, a nice guy, and has worked his whole life. I hate this game every 4 years and think that we all do, and if my father wants to be a martyr to how broken and disassociated the process has become from the real problem and practical solutions, then that's his choice. I'm not saying that's what he's done or what he's about. That's just my own rant being fed up with all of it for my entire adult life. South Park said it best. Every 4 years we're forced to choose between a turd sandwich and a giant douche, and it all says in the same ways by different degrees, and we're exhausted and embarrassed by it all. So look at the way his son is trying to justify the situation. His son definitely knew what was going on. Let's be real, guys. But he's going to get away scot-free because daddy government is going to let him go away scot-free because they want his son to live a good life because they know that his son is corrupt. But his son was probably participating in it. And it's very sad, but this is the unfortunate reality, guys. His dad was not just a good man with a few traffic tickets. He has an extensive criminal record, and he actually was caught with weapons of mass destruction. So it's pure nonsense. But apparently this is the video from Palm Beach, guys, as you guys can see here. Look at that. You have helicopters, you have loads of cops here. That's crazy. Very, very wild. That's actually really wild. But it gets a lot worse, guys, like I said to you guys earlier, because apparently there's individuals like this. I found more videos and photos of Ryan W. Routh in Ukraine in 2022. Routh is the pro-Ukrainian war recruiter accused of almost assassinating Trump at his Florida golf course on September 15. Routh was so dedicated to Ukraine that he cut the grass at Independence Square in Kyiv using scissors. He ran a war recruitment drive for the International Legion, Ukraine's military unit for foreign fighters. Look at this.
Most wonder what I'm doing in Ukraine. This is about a center to help people when they come from other countries around the world have a location, someone to talk to as a greeting committee to get them in the location that they need to be. So that's the whole focus of this project, is to help foreigners be as useful as possible. That's our mission and job here, to get everybody where they need to be to maximize their potential. And everyone here is self-funded, so everyone's out of money and struggling to buy fuel and get everything they need just to survive. So any support would be tremendously appreciated.
I find that very hard to believe. Self-funded. This is the narrative that they're trying to push. And honestly, to make it worse, I feel like this was all intentional. He intentionally made it appear as if he was very poor. He's a self-funded dude, and he did this on his own without any corruption or any persuasion from any government agencies. That's just so full of nonsense. And they planned this. They set it up to appear that way. And as you guys can see here, this is him cutting the grass with yard scissors. That's crazy for the memorial. But yeah, he's clearly a big Ukrainian loyalist, right? Because, I mean, it's just crazy. The amount of evidence that we have is crazy. But it gets worse, guys. So the evidence that I have that he actually works with BlackRock is this right here. And again, this is a crazy, quote-unquote, coincidence that Ryan Ruth and both Thomas Crooks, both in propaganda commercials. Because if you guys aren't aware, Thomas Crooks is the first guy who did the assassination attempt against Trump. And Ryan Ruth, the guy we're looking at now, he's the guy who did the second assassination attempt against Trump, and they were both in BlackRock commercials. Very, very odd.
DeLallo.
Watch this.
My name is Brian DeLallo. I teach AP and Honors Economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Financial wealth.
That is right, Thomas Crooks. Yep, that's him right here. This guy right here, that's Thomas Crooks. And he was the guy who did the first assassination attempt against Donald J. Trump. You guys can see him right here too. Very, very crazy. Nothing is a coincidence. It's all staged. They don't predict anything, guys. Remember, they change the future. They shape our future. They don't predict it, because the devil, all he can do is copy God. Only God can really predict something. The devil, what he does is he creates the future. He uses propaganda, and he uses satanic individuals to create and form the future, because they have the love of money. And here we go. We see the new guy, Ryan Ruth, another puppet being used by these satanic elitists. Here he is in the BlackRock commercial, guys. Very, very satanic. Doesn't surprise me, doesn't shock me. This is the reality of the world that we live in, guys. And as you guys can see here, absolutely no bloody way there aren't coincidences. They love their symbolism. And the fall of the satanic elitists will be their symbolism. I completely agree with that, guys. Very, very sad. And I agree. America needs answers. That's pretty much the scenario that we're at. And this is a map showing the estimated position of the shooter in today's second assassination attempt on Trump at the Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach, end quote. And so it's interesting, as you guys can see here, it says the possible shooter's location was either here or here, where it was closed off, and this was Trump. That's crazy. How did he even get there, guys? I mean, no one's asking these questions. Nobody is asking these questions. Very strange. But what makes it even worse, guys, is we have a photo of two backpacks, an AK-47 and a GoPro, left by the gunman at the Trump Golf Club in West Palm Beach. Fox News ID suspect as Ryan Wesley Ruth. The suspect was 300 to 500 yards from Trump when discovered. Why does bro have a this makes no sense. Why does he have a GoPro? Why does he have a GoPro, bro? Was the point to humiliate Trump? Was the point to record him having ketchup spilling everywhere, gushing out of his head? Like, why is there this weird fascination by these people to do this? This is so weird. And then coincidentally, like 30 seconds later or something, CNN all of a sudden knows about what's going on. That's an inside job, guys. I don't care what anybody wants to say. That's an inside job. And then here, I'm not even going to waste your time listening to this this dude right here. Basically, what they say is that Donald J. Trump isn't the current president. He's just a former president. That's the reason why he didn't get as much protection. They're all liars, guys. They're all getting paid for Trump to get passed away and depleted. That's all they care about. They have the love of money. And that's why the Bible warns us about the love of money, because the love of money is the root of all evil. But the people who are actually doing this assassination attempts, it could also be because of the love of money, but it could also be because they are brainwashed and they believe that they're actually doing some sort of good for society. And the big reason is because of people like this.
A lot of people have tried to draw similarities between Mussolini and Hitler and the use of the terminology like vermin and the drive that those men had towards autocracy and dictatorship. The difference, though, I think makes Donald Trump even more dangerous, and that is he has no philosophy he believes in. He is not trying to expand the boundaries.
Alrighty, guys. I think I'm done listening to that nonsense. But when we have hateful rhetoric like this, comparing Donald J. Trump to Hitler, I mean, you could see why, not so educated, low IQ liberals would think that they're making a change by murdering him, right? I mean, it's just so sad and pathetic, the world that we live in, because there's so many satanic elitists who have the love of money, and they just use brainwashed liberals who believe everything that they're told by daddy government, and maybe they're told that they're going to give a pension for them and their family. It's very sad, but that's what's going on clearly here, guys. And now that we know the holistic truth, now you guys are knowledgeable, now you guys are wise, I want you guys to share this video with at least one person, guys, because more people need to wake up to this. And I try to get as much information as I possibly humanly could within the past 24 hours so that you guys can have everything, so that you guys can have the knowledge and the truth about this situation. The reality is we know a few points I'm going to cover so that we can clarify what we learned today. First of all, we know it was an inside job. Second of all, we know that this was an attempt for Trump not to become president, right? We know it was an attempt for him not to become president because he doesn't want to give money to Ukraine nor to government contractors, and he wants to end a war with Russia. 4, Donald J. Trump rather be allies with Russia versus working against them. 5, BlackRock, Chase, and Ukraine are all corrupt. BlackRock and Chase both own the Ukrainian country. And so they used Ukraine and their military and their intelligence as a way to go against Donald J. Trump. So these are a few key points that we've mainly learned and covered out throughout this whole video. And I hope this video was edifying for you guys, because remember, Jesus Christ tells us, you know, not to be ignorant about these things. I really dislike when people in the Christian world say, oh, we shouldn't be talking about this stuff. Guys, yes, we should. We should. Because all of this stuff revolves around the word of God. It's because we're getting closer to the end times. We see wars and rumors of wars and the things that are going on, guys. Very important for Christians to be staying up to date with current events, guys. Very, very important. And we need more people talking about these things from a biblical perspective, because it's very important, guys, that we understand we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against evil principalities and dark and high places. And that is the reality of what we're going through right now in the United States of America. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button so the algorithm knows that you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and please share it with someone so that they can learn and be edified. God bless you guys. And it was your boy, Nate.